So welcome everybody to another episode of the Brewmasters Club cast. Here is what you have to look forward to in tonight's episode. Bird Box is basically Sandra Bullock instead of Jim Reacher for Quiet Place.
Yeah, I don't buy into that. I mean, I haven't seen A Quiet Place, so I can't really comment that.
So how could you buy into that?
I come from an unbiased opinion.
It's very biased. If you haven't seen it, it's extremely biased. It's the most biased opinion.
Yeah. It's the most
If you're like, hey, do you like A or B? Well, I've never seen B, but I really like A. That's pretty biased.
Fair enough.
I mean, I've got a Belgian in the closet I'm staring at that I've got to put in the fridge to cold crash now. So
you got a Belgian in the closet.
I should probably get him out of there.
Well, JANUQUENCHY.
JANUQUENCHY. Yep, good old Sam Caligione. I always say his name wrong. Caligione?
Coloni?
Sam Coloni? Maybe the G is silent.
How do you spell baloney?
Same way?
It might be Caligione. I was so immersed with the character that I actually chose to do something that I would never have chosen to do, even if I was in that situation.
Kiss a girl.
No, that I would have done without even having to click a mouse. I just
get a chance to watch Bird Box?
I did, actually.
Good man.
I was going to totally lie to you and make it sound like it was the Birdcage 2, but go ahead.
No, but I did tell one of my coworkers that it was actually pronounced Turd Box.
You should have told one of your coworkers that it was pronounced the Birdcage and see what they thought about it.
Have you seen the Birdcage?
Who hasn't seen the Birdcage?
The Birdcage is amazing, man.
You crazy mother.
Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Welcome, craft beer. My name is Donnie. This is the Brewmasters Club podcast, Craft Brews and Geek News, where we talk about national stories, local flavors, and our favorite geeky nuggets of pop culture. How are you this evening? We are riding the high wave here on January 2nd, 2019, which just sounds weird to say, but we do appreciate you guys being here with us. And of course, as always, I'm joined by two lovely and talented young gentlemen here. Mr. Rye Guy, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm doing good. And in case you haven't heard it enough, Happy New Year, everyone.
That's right. Happy New Year's. I see what you did there. You removed the S for some reason.
Yes, there's no need for the S.
No, there is a need for the S. It's Happy New Year's, Ryan. Look at any card ever.
No, New Year. Well,
no, I think you're right. Mr. Lausman, how are you?
I'm not wrong.
No, you are correct. I was just S's and G's, as they say, my friend. S's and G's.
Sure.
Shits and giggles. You don't know what that is?
I've never thought of an actual situation where I would have to shorthand shits and giggles. You normally just say giggles.
But have you ever giggled and shit? Because it happens to people.
No, but I would think S&G was some name brand store somewhere. Like S&G, come on down, get your shoes. Like
I can count 4 people individually that I've heard that have S'd and G'd or G'd and S'd.
That's what this saying is.
Giggled and shit?
It's all shits and giggles until someone giggles and shits.
There you go, my friend.
It's all S&G till someone G's and S's. I don't
what a fantastic way to open this show. I can't thank you guys enough for that riveting bit of conversation. But speaking of how we start the show, we do always start off with our famous segment, What Are You Drinking? What Are You Going to Drink? Do you guys have anything interesting to talk about this evening?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Donnie, I think I posted this in our group chat the other day. I was at Sir Gus's.
I was about to say, is that the Goose Island chocolate in something bourbon barrel?
New Holland.
No shit.
Yes, New Holland, Dragon Milk, the Reserve, Banana Coconut, Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout with real banana and natural flavors. Of course, coconut. And I got to tell you, I had this the other night at Gus's, ABC Gus's, along with a plethora of other beers, and this is absolutely phenomenal. It comes in 11%. If you've had Dragon's Milk, then it just add banana and coconut to it, and it's just a fantastic tasting beer. Absolutely phenomenal. Again, from New Holland, not whoever Donnie said.
No, yeah, you're right. No, you said I was referring to the Goose Island that you sent in the chat as well a bit ago, but no, that one I was actually looking for, and I'll get into why in a second. But is it heavy? What is the flavor like on that?
No, it's just it's light and roasty and malty characteristics. The banana and the coconut really take away the edge of the barrel that you would get if you just had a straight up dragon's milk. And I mean, I literally feel like I'm eating chocolate and bananas at the same time. The coconut comes into play at the very end, and it's very well. So take an Almond Joy and eat a banana at the same time.
Don't choke.
Boom.
And don't choke.
And maybe a sip of rum. Bourbon, actually. Excuse me. Bourbon.
That's how I eat all my
not
bananas.
rum.
I just
But yeah,
get all
it's
3 of those ingredients and gnar down on my bananas.
so good. Such a good beer.
Well, it's funny, and also I don't want to cut you off. And speaking of bananas, I know you want to get into that too. But Ryan, I was holding this up. I actually got, after your suggestion, I tried to find the exact same beer. Instead, I got stuck with its orange-haired, nasty stepchild, the Dragon's Milk Orange Chocolate Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout from what is it, New Holland? Yeah, from New Holland out of Michigan. And let me tell you, I like everything about this beer except for the orange. It tastes like those crappy orange chocolates that were the shape of an orange, and then you pound on the top of it, and then it splits open, and you can eat orange flavored chocolate, and it tastes like garbage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what this kind of like.
So then take the orange out and replace it with banana, and that's what I'm drinking.
I wish I could, and trust me, the gentleman at the liquor store also wishes he could, because I made him search through the back for like 7.5 minutes, because I'm like, I don't really want this orange one, but my buddy said it's awesome. So, but not the orange, the vanilla, the coconut one was awesome.
Yeah. Such a good beer.
I mean, this one's 11% too. It's just not as good. It's
hurt. I know that ABC Liquor has this beer, so if you're anywhere in the southern USA, Florida, and Georgia, go to your nearest ABC liquor store and request this beer. It was bottled back in August, so August 31st was when mine was bottled. So still probably some out there.
Yeah, mine was bottled in November, but
even better. Okay.
Yeah, I don't love it. So that's my. Laos, what'd you bring?
I brought the High Stepper by Crooked Can Brewing in Winter Garden. And it's just their IPA, their American IPA.
Nice.
It's pretty yummy. It's pretty standard. They say it's got a higher IBUs. I guess I can kind of taste it, but it's yummy. It makes your belly warm.
Now, did you get that in Winter? You said Winter Haven or Winter Park?
This is Winter Garden.
Winter Garden. Is that where you had to drop off your kayak?
No.
Unrelated story. I sold a kayak on Craigslist and had to deliver it for a $20 fee. Somebody in Winter Haven?
Yeah, so I rolled the dice on that, and I really had to get rid of that kayak. And so the guy said, hey, he goes, I really want the kayak. I live on a chain of lakes. He goes, and I have a luxury vehicle. He's like, so I can't transport it. I was like,
oh my God, this is sounding great.
Yeah, so it was really risky. But he goes, yeah, dude. He goes, could you deliver it for $20 extra? And I was like, all right.
The fact that the guy said that he owns a luxury SUV makes him, and he's buying a Craigslist kayak, makes him a grade A douchebag. But that's just me. I could be wrong in that assumption, but
that or a grade A like horror story in the making.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
If he pulled up and it was like a busted ass Pinto, I'd be way more upset.
Yeah. That's So I told him. He's like, man. He's like, I really wanted a kayak. I didn't want a brand new one. He's like, I just wanted to use one. He's like, but I just can't move it with my vehicle. I was like, well, you should get yourself a crappy old Camry like me. I was like, they move kayaks real well. So yeah, that was one of my many adventures as of recent.
Well
good. Yeah, and I'm glad you like your beer at least. And I honestly, Ryan, I think that I can like this beer too. I just I wish I really did look all over for it. Well, first
the guy looked all over for it.
That's true. I made him look everywhere for it. I only spent a few minutes in the aisle, but I was just waiting. I looked all over for the Resilience IPA just to tie a bow in our conversation that we were having about our support, which is not over yet. I say tie a bow; it's not by any means over yet. But I actually, because now it's been canned and it's been distributed, and so I went on to the Sierra Nevada website, and they had basically every place listed by zip code if you wanted to just pop it in there and see where they had a can or on draft. And I just couldn't find it. I called 4 or 5 different places in Brandon and Tampa.
Oh, wow.
In Land O'Lakes to try and find a place to just have a sip. In the Loop was supposed to have it, but they never answered their stupid phone. So yeah, I didn't.
Sounds like they're out of the loop.
Yeah, they've been out of the loop since this whole thing started. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, so it didn't work out. But anyways, I will. We'll have that next time because I think your beer should be ready by now. Is it not?
It is cold crashing, and I just texted Christian a little while ago. I'm waiting for a response to see if he's ready to put it on tap. I know he's busy right now, but I'm hoping it'll go on either Saturday or Sunday at Brew. So we'll see. It'll be very fresh and very delicious. I had a sample of it the other day as I started cold crashing and before I dry hopped it, and I'm severely looking forward to it. So,
no,
have you guys had it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, I've tried 2. I've tried the Tampa Bay Brew Co.'s Resilience, and I've tried also Marker 48. We were up there last weekend before we went to Gus's house. So both of them have been pretty close from what I think it should be. So they're
comparable
pretty comparable.
To what?
Well, they're very comparable to each other. So,
like, name another one that tasted similar to it. Was it more juicy? Is it more sweet? More citrus? More pine?
Take the Torpedo and put it in the middle of.
My hands.
Put it in the middle between that and your regular pale ale.
You tell me to stop. I'll stop. Here?
Right there.
Right
there.
All right.
Right there.
All right.
So
thanks, McLovin. We appreciate it.
So left hand is Torpedo, right hand is pale ale, somewhere in the middle with a little more malty characteristics and a little more haze to it. Now, the difference was Marker 48 actually clarified it, whereas at Tampa Bay Brew Co. it was more hazy. So there was a difference in texture and mouthfeel, which I thought was kind of cool. But the flavor and the overall impression was the same. So
that's good. And I think that's how we're gonna, like if in the loop, if I was able to pop over there and grab it there, I'm sure that it would taste different from them as well.
Yeah, well, and everybody has their own brewing style, so water profiles and all that. I mean, they try to do it with the tablets and things. But yeah, I thought both of them were very good, and I was excited to try it, and I'm excited to try it this weekend when mine's fully carbonated. So,
did you have something on that?
No.
Okay, I thought you were trying to get a word in. I was cutting you off. No, that's good. Well, that's good, Ryan. And guess what? Just arrived in the mail for me today is my version of the Resilience that I actually picked out and assembled, built the grain bill for on the Pico brews. So we'll see how that's working. I've currently got your cold crashing reminded me. I've got a Belgian in the closet I'm staring at that I've got to put in the fridge to cold crash now. So
you got a Belgian in the closet.
I should probably get him out of there.
Well,
oh,
what was your cold crashing question, Donnie?
The cold crashing question is: did you dry hop while cold crash, or are you cold crashing and then dry hopping?
No, both. Same day that I started cold crash, I let it go for probably 3 weeks now, and I transferred it into the secondary, and then started cold crashing with. I used Cascade or Centennial hops, but I also use, and those were dried Centennial 1 ounce, and I also used half ounce, and then I also used actually frozen Cascade hops that I had from Duke and Austin in Odessa. So that'll have a nice earthy, fresh, piney connotation. So it'll be a little bit different take on it, but it'll still be the same overall beer because it's still Cascade hops.
Now, have you used frozen hops like that before? Because I literally have. I had a kit that actually I went to go brew on my Pico, and it did not. The machine itself had a malfunction. I told you, and like support helped me fix it right away. But I had ruined a kit because it was not able to be fixed in like that same night. So the grains I threw out, but the hops never got soiled. So I threw them in the freezer, and I still have them. And I'm waiting for an opportunity to use them again. But like I said, they're in the freezer. So did you have no horror story at all? I'm guessing it just kind of came out just fine.
Yeah, they were vacuum packed and sealed. They were just in the freezer and everything. I just took them out a little bit before I put it into the actual beer itself, so that it could kind of thaw out a little bit, and then just put them in there. But they were cone, they were fresh. Yeah, so cool. Freshly frozen, thawed out, however you want to look at that.
Fresh frozen, I get it. They say that all the time.
I bit into one just to make sure it was still there, and it was perfect. So yeah,
you bit into as far as sure it was still there.
Yeah, well, it was still it's a fresh cone. It's not a dried pellet like what you have. So is it still in the seal? Or
No, I just put it in like the muslin bag, so it's probably just bare in the fridge. It's probably just sitting in there. Might not be good anymore. It might be contaminated at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
Yeah. Well, Like I said, it was a wasted kit anyways, and they actually sent me out a new kit, so that I have 2 of them.
Oh, well, there you go. Cool.
Yeah, so it worked out. But my resilience is sitting on the floor. I have 6 beers. I was a good boy and had a very good Christmas, and I have 6 beers to brew between now and July.
Awesome.
Because they will go bad if not. So
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So anything else, boys, before we move on to our first story here?
No, but I can tell you leading into this story that we've all failed already.
About only drinking the Dogfish Head sea quench.
Yeah.
What Ryan is referring to is Dogfish Head's open invitation for fans to join along in JANUQUENCHY. JANUQUENCHY. Yep, good old Sam Caligione. I always say his name wrong. Caligione?
Coloni?
Sam Coloni?
How do you spell baloney?
Maybe the G is silent.
How do you spell baloney?
Same way?
It might be Caligione.
Yes, that's how I would say, but I always want to say Caligione then at that point, which is definitely not right. Anyways, Sam, the founder and CEO, Sam, the CEO and Dogfish Head and founder of Dogfish Head, started this thing. It's New Year's Eve or whatever. Everybody makes these great premonitions how they're going to do so much better this year and exercise and all that kind of crap. So he said, listen, if you want to really jump your January 1st off right, then just commit to drinking Sea Quench Ale, the 4.9% ABV, 140 calorie, 9 carb beer. It is actually very delicious, and I think we've all had them before. I know that I've mentioned it on this podcast a couple times. I don't know if I could only drink them because they are tart and they are salty and they're very sour amongst the tartness, but apparently they're a little more healthy for you than some other ones. So it's fun. I mean, it's just a commitment that he said, drink it for 31 days while eating sensibly and doing something active. It's good for you, Sam. That's a great thing. I don't know. I'm not going to start that New Year's Eve resolution. There's a lot of other ones that I'll start and quit. That won't be one of them.
Well, and for me, I was like, well, I could take it, but what are my rules? Because, I've already got beer tickets for the Fire and Beer at Tampa Bay Brew Co. And I was like, if I'm only drinking this beer, but then on January 12th, I drink all these other high alcoholic volume beers, did I ruin my month if they're only 4-ounce pours? Like, that's where I was like, there's no real rule here, but I don't know. I don't want to fail if I take this challenge on. So I didn't even try.
That's pretty good.
Excellent. Give up immediately into 2019.
I did. I failed miserably at JANUQUENCHY.
Sliding on in there. Yep.
There actually is some official rules that are posted online, and now that I'm reading through this, I'm gonna see if we can't stir up some, because we talked about this beer so many times. So maybe I'll do a super cut of all sorts of things. Just add in JANUQUENCHY or whatever it was, and see if we can't win trucker hat.
Do it. I think a JANUQUENCHY would be it doesn't obviously go well, but a challenge like this in June would be perfect for the summer with this beer. Absolutely. We can do that.
I agree. I think that would be a perfect summer, quest to try and embark on. But we haven't even figured out Florida Craft Beer Day 2019. We've got to talk about that. So perhaps we leave one holiday or one
to somebody else
celebration to somebody else. Right. Exactly.
I agree. That's coming up fast.
It is coming up fast. We have to really.
It's like really fast.
Yes, now is not the time. We have to figure it out. But it's coming.
Like 5 weeks fast.
Yes, it's okay. I'm sure that we can make it happen like we always do. It's a great time, and I really enjoyed that February 15th. So, boys, anything else in this story, or else we're going to move into, speaking of our New Year's Eve, some things to look forward to in 2019. Do we got anything else before we move on?
I hope whoever's doing this challenge, I hope that you don't get sick of that beer because it's really, really good. Just throwing that back part out there. So.
It is really good. Sea Quench is probably one of my most favorite drinkable beers, as in, like, I can literally have one at any time and it's fine unless you have 1,000 of them.
Exactly.
I don't know. Anyways, all right, moving right along. So the last piece of news that we have here in our craft beer segment is basically just a quick snapshot. And Ryan, I wanted to get both your guys' opinions, Lost Man included, just because, Ryan, you've been brewing throughout the entire 2018 year now. Lost Man, you've been drinking beer throughout the entire 2018 year now. I have been doing a little bit of both. So I just wanted to say, I pulled this list from, I think it was like the fullpint.com. Yeah, fullpint.com. And it's kind of 5 things that they're looking forward to in 2019. I read through it. I don't know if you guys have seen through this, but a lot of these things we've already talked about. We've talked about that craft beer needs to figure that out or push this or compliment. But those 5 things I can go through quickly. And then I just wanted to get a little bit of insight from you guys to see what you really wanted to see in 2019, if you're on board with that.
Sure. To me, it's just like the 5 ways of living for the average craft beer drinker. That's kind of I'm looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah. Okay. So quickly we'll jump through it. The first one they said is just start to drink beer. Just drink beer. You don't have to drink all of it. You don't drink a ton of it. You don't have to drink all of every kind of beer you can find. Just try 1 or 2 and just continue to drink craft beer and actively try to drink craft beer. Got it. That's silly. Well, if you have something to add, that's fine. I just think that's kind of a bullshit first topic to see.
It is. But I always say try is the first word to failure. So do is the better word.
Do drink the beer. I like that. Well, in the second the point number 2 is to drink outside your comfort zone. Do drink outside your comfort zone. It's the only way that you would have tried things standing in the store this evening. Precisely a good example. I wouldn't have picked up the orange, and I really didn't want to pick up the orange, but I did. And I could have liked it, but I didn't. So you never know. But pick up the orange stout sometime. Maybe you will. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I'm going to get outside my comfort zone this year. This one actually is a really good point because a lot of people stick to, your ales, your IPAs, maybe some craft pilsners that are starting to come out more and more, and some craft lagers. But I have a bad time sometimes choosing barrel-aged beers with a side, because I don't really like bourbon. I don't often like rum unless it's mixed with something. So I think I'm going to take it to the next level. Maybe try Founders Backwoods, or is it Sierra Nevada that does Backwoods? I can't remember. And do some extra work on barrel aged beers and try to get used to them. Try to appreciate them more in an endearing way, as I just made that sound. And
it did sound endearing. And I think you're onto something too, because I'm not a barrel aged guy, but I know that people that are love them because it's the same way that you love a bourbon or a Scotch or whatever. It carries those notes through, and it makes a very unique taste. It's just not necessarily been my thing up until this point, but to your point, to the point of this note, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'll try it too. I always do. I never, if I go back to a comfortable beer like a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, it's only because whatever else is on the menu, I really don't want.
Exactly.
So
kind of in the same vein, I'm just a couple of different genres behind you guys. I think I've wanted to just start getting into stouts and whatnot, because those are just typically things I just steer clear of. I just want nothing to do with them.
Understood. Yeah. Now, Dosman, do you drink coffee?
Nope.
Okay. So if you drank coffee, see, that's what did it for me. I drank coffee with no cream, no sugar. And then the more I started getting used to it, I was like, oh, this is pretty similar because it's got that kick finish sort of same feel to it. Of course, with alcohol. Go for it, man. Stouts are the way.
There was a time. Well, see, I'm following the same journey that you guys are both talking through, because there was a time when I didn't like stouts at all, and then I got into them heavily because I went over to Europe, and that was basically what everybody drank was stouts or like a warm pilsner or something, which I just didn't like at the time. So I drank a lot more stouts, but then I kind of developed taste for it, where I ended up really, really liking a lot of dry stouts, like lighter body dry stouts, like a Guinness, like a traditional Guinness is kind of flavored. And to your point, Laos, man, then I get back home and you're drinking something that's, chocolate, orange, whatever stout. And it's too sweet. It's too full bodied. It's too heavy. And I'm sure I'd love the coconut in the version that you have, Ryan, because I love chocolate, love coconut. But is it a beer I'm going to reach for all the time? No, but I'll drink a Guinness or like a dry stout that is not sweet and not overly full again in the summertime, even when it's hot outside, just because it's good drinking beer. And, I developed appreciation for stout like that, but it's only some stouts. It's not all of them. So to your point, that's part of it.
Absolutely.
So that's it.
Oh, and Dunkels. I'm going to try to get into some Dunkels. I've not had too many.
Speaking of overly sweet, overly heavy beer, yeah, that's one you can take to the bank on. But no. And again, I'm not shitting on it. I'm saying just try it. But yeah, you never know what you like, and we've always been a proponent of that, I think, since this show started. So that's just our thing. Number 3, keep holding people accountable, and this comes back to our good friends at BrewDogs, how they made their this beer is for women, or don't drink this if you're a woman, or whatever it was. Where they now I'm not harping on BrewDogs, but when this just notes that in 2019 we really don't want to see that as the year of the gimmicky craft beer, whatever, as 18 kind of turned out to be quite a few times, and I'm sure it will continue. But it would be nice to go a whole calendar year in the flurry of their new breweries and new craft beer coming out, where we don't have to have something that's overly gimmicky to try and sell beer.
Unless it's for a cause like
Which
breast
is not a
cancer
gimmick.
awareness. Right. That's not a gimmick.
Like,
but I'm saying
hospice
yes.
care is not a gimmick. That's
right.
a cause.
Yeah, that's a cause. Yeah. If let's just be clear. We're not saying don't make something and say, this is for women. Let's say make something and make it for everybody, but have it geared towards something that's an awareness for women. That's totally different. I think that's still okay. So.
Yep. Well, I was gonna couple that later on in the story here, but it's a good time to bring it up since you just did. Things like the campfire, right? Again, going back to Resilience IPA. I would love to see more of that in 2019. I would love that 2019 be dominated with like, oh, there was a tsunami, there's a water shortage, there's this. I think that a 6-figure $500,000 probably is what this campfire IPA is gonna net back in for the charity itself. I would assume it's gonna be a couple $100,000, but if that can inspire some people to say, hey man, yeah, let's make a shared collaboration here and brew a beer that can benefit earthquakes, tsunami, whatever it is, that I'm all about that, because I think that is just great stuff that needs to be celebrated and shared, and that's what a community like craft beer has always said it is, and has performed to be, can continue to do, and be a part of. I think that would be great to see more of in 2019.
It'd be really cool if we could get a following of people that sort of put out there what causes that are going on right now that beers should get brewed for. And I think one of them up there at the top of my list would be Flint, Michigan. Let's brew some beers and try to get those people some good water going again. You know what I mean? Like, let's raise a cause for that and try to pay for it with beer. I don't know. Any thoughts?
I think that's a cool support cause, and I think that's really would be a lot of fun. The problem is if you start doing a beer for this, a beer for that. Yeah, well, somebody's got to pay for the beer, right? Like Sierra Nevada had a personal connection to it. They were affected, and they ponied up. They weren't just saying, "Hey, let's just start a GoFundMe account for that." They put in $100,000, then a bunch more to try and get this to happen. So
okay,
I think that when it's special, it works, and when it's meaningful and when it's impactful and when it resonates with that community, it will resonate with other communities, which is why the campfire worked out so well. But yeah, I mean, nothing to say if there was a Flint, Michigan, brewing company that was taking on something like that, of course they'd have our support. So to your point, yeah, we would. But
cool.
One last thing on the gimmicky stuff.
Yeah,
so there was one little gimmick that I actually really enjoyed recently. I bought a variety pack of, and Donnie, you saw it, variety pack of the Dogfish head, and it had 4 different kinds. It had the Sea Quench, it had the normal, or the Dogfish had 60 minute, and then it had the Belgian. It had the coconut, the Lao or whatever it was, and then it had one other one. And the box,
it was the wit beer. I'm sorry, I said Weiss, but it was wit beer.
Yes, you are correct.
Orange
it was the wit beer. But it was cool because you opened the box, didn't have handles. You opened the box, and then you could dump ice in, and the box would hold ice. And it was really cool. And they threw in a koozie.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
That's awesome. And not to say that's gimmicky, but Dogfish Head does stuff like that just because it's cool, and that's. But that you responded to that. That's actually something that is not gimmicky. It's not saying don't buy this beer. It's not for women. It's like, well, it's not. Yeah. So all right. Well, yeah. No, that's good. And then the last 2 points, and I just want to go through these really quickly because we're running out of time. But double down on the independent craft. So they were just suggesting that this independent craft beer movement that Brewers Association and several thousand breweries have participated in is a thing, and it's getting bigger and bigger. But nearly every state in the U.S. has a guild, and there are several organizations under those or that collaborate with those to have a brewers guild and to really participate and build that community. I just think that needs to progress and keep going. I think that maybe we'll see that bubble where it's like, wow, look how many breweries opened in 2016, 17, 18. That's fine, but let's see, wow, look how much of a community we've really built now. That is 2019. I'd love to see that.
Definitely.
The last one is to the brewers. Actually, they said brewers just be better. There are challenges that, there's consistency management, there's quality management, there's employee morale. There's all sorts of crap out here that little breweries and things happen as they close, as they morph, as they form, as they congeal into a new brewery from some collaboration, whatever. Just continue to brew good beer and be better. Basically the gist of this is that the more complaints that a brewery is, the lower quality or the less fascination we have with that brewery. So continue to challenge yourself as a brewer. And Ryan, again, speaking to you directly as a brewer, I know you're challenging yourself with every recipe you take on. I don't necessarily challenge myself when I brew my beer. I try to put a twist on it. It's a little bit different, a little bit unique, but you are legitimately challenging yourself. And I think you're an inspiration to other brewers or home brewers, or even people that have thought about brewing like Lossman that really want to, that haven't done it yet, to do it. And I just wanted to give you a few minutes in the spotlight to talk about it, because I think that's something you have a lot of knowledge about.
Well, thank you, Donnie. And true story, I tried to do my own recipes. Of course, there's things that I look at and have ideas for, but when I get that recipe down, I try to replicate it as many times as I can so that it doesn't change. Perfect example is the jalapeno IPA. I've been perfecting that, over the course of the last 2.5 years. The Belgium, which I don't think you've had yet, I do have one left. I was saving it for a good occasion, but my Belgium Abbey that I brewed for the holidays, I have one left, and I wanted to brew it again. So sometimes, and this is what I'm getting into, sometimes you can go for that perfection and you make a mistake. And where I made my mistake is I had the Saaz hops and the Tetneg hops, and I was going to throw each 1 ounce in at 60 minutes and boil those, and everything was great. Well, it wasn't until the very end of brewing and cleaning up and everything else that I realized that though I brewed the exact same malts and did everything the exact same way, I used 2 ounces of Cascade hops that I had just sitting in the fridge by mistake. I grabbed the wrong packs of hops.
Oh, no.
So pitched the same yeast and everything, but now instead of my Belgium Abbey, I'm going to have a Belgium Hoppy Abbey, and we'll see what happens. So sometimes mistakes happen, but hopefully at the end of the day, the beer is still drinkable and it's still delicious. So, but yes, aim for perfection. Aim to consistently give people that same experience. I'm not saying bad about this brewery, so maybe I won't even say their name. I went to a brewery itself, and all the hop flavors. It had been dry hop with fresh hops and everything else. It was perfect. The next time I had it in a can, and it wasn't. And I don't know if it was from can to from tap to can or whatever. But aim for that same perfection. Aim for that, and always get better. Always keep your lines clean. Always keep your stuff clean. And so yeah, that's my 2 cents worth.
No, and I think that's valid. I mean, honestly, as a homebrewer, I've messed up on stuff for too. I've messed up on stuff a lot. I cold crashed when I shouldn't have. I've put in the wrong.
That was my fault, though. I told you incorrectly. I told you incorrectly on the cold crashing.
I don't think so. I'm sure that was, but it doesn't matter. We're not here to point fingers.
I accept responsibility where responsibility needs to be accepted, and that was my fault because I was texting you while at work, which I shouldn't have been doing at the time, and messed up, and that's what messed you up. So
if I remember correctly, remember that beer came back just fine, and that lipstick on a zombie pig was probably one of the greatest beers I've ever brewed, and I had one in my fridge still. So
well, it did. The yeast didn't die off completely, which was good, but it could have been worse. And
no, I don't consider that as a bad deal. But anyways, Mr. Lossman, close out our beer segment. You got anything left?
I got half a beer left.
Nope. Well, shame on you.
Grab another one, man.
All right,
it's only Wednesday.
That's true, and we're supposed to be recording this on a Tuesday. However, that was New Year's Day. Well, the day after New Year's, I don't know. People had work, people had stuff to do, so we just got a little backlogged.
Netflixed all day yesterday, so. Yeah.
Oh my! Did you?
I did.
Well, speaking of Netflix, my friend, you are the segue king tonight as we transition into our geek news segment. Drink it on in, boys. Send it on back. We will talk about all things geeky, and the first couple items that we had to talk about is our Netflix playlist. Say that 3 times fast. You don't
Netflix playlist.
Fast.
Did you say?
Now you have to say it fast.
Netflix?
No, say it fast.
Netflix.
No, not Netflix. Don't stop saying Netflix.
No.
Say Netflix playlist.
Talking about the meme Netflix.
I don't know what that means.
You haven't seen the meme? The neck meme?
I don't know what you mean by that.
I'll send you a text.
I got you, Lost.
Okay.
All right. Anyways.
Netflix playlist.
Faster.
Netflix playlist.
Okay, fine. You've been practicing. Anyways, Stranger Things Season 3 will premiere on July 4th. There was a trailer that was released actually 3 or 4 days ago. I think this is relevant because I love this show. It reminds me of the Goonies plus some scary stuff, and I just love it. The problem is that we have to wait another 7 months, literally from today, tomorrow, for it to come out, which is going to be July 4th. Ugh, so that sucks. But that trailer did drop on Monday, and that's awesome. So I'm all about it. And I don't know, did you guys both like Stranger Things, or was that just a me thing?
No, I liked it. I got into it.
Oh man, I loved it.
I love Stranger Things.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Hopefully it'll be like season 3 and then it's done, right? Like it's over. That's the show. That's it. They don't need to go on 10 seasons. I don't want to see these kids when they're 22 years old.
Trying to be a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, I just don't care. So I don't want to, but man, I'm very excited to see what's in store for Hawkins, Indiana in 1985. It seems very exciting. Also, like if they keep going with the show, those kids are going to grow up to be old because they're very young at a very quick growing age. But I'm not. I don't want to see them when they're 18 and driving Camaros or whatever they do.
Yeah.
So. All right. So the next one that I had on here was Black Mirror Bandersnatch, and that's the 2018 interactive science fiction film, part of the anthology series Black Mirror. It was written by Charlie Brooker, who was the director or the creator of Black Mirror. And it was released on the 28th of December, 2018, the same day that the trailer was released. So good for you, Netflix. Really?
Wait, say that again. They released the trailer the same day as the
movie. Yeah, that's what they did.
They're in total control.
They're in total control, and they love it, and it works. It works. It's way better than the Marvel approach. Because what happens with Marvel with the trailers is that people on the internet bitch and whine and complain and cry and make memes and make all these Reddit comments and stuff until Marvel's like, fine, here's the trailer, you jackasses, Jesus Christ, and they just give you a trailer that gives you no information, but it shuts those little Comic-Con dorks up. So that's what they do.
I would love it if trailers would stop playing as much. You feel like you've seen the whole movie when you watch a trailer nowadays. Just watch that Stranger Things trailer, Donnie, and it's perfect. You see Dick Clark, and then you see a ball drop, and that's it. Like, just leave it at that. I'm already ready. I don't need to see any more. I don't want to see any more than that.
I agree. It should just be teaser trailers, really. Like
from now on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Up until maybe like the day of or something, because you have to have a trailer because there's going to be some grandma sitting on the couch that doesn't know what it is, and so you've got to explain it to her.
Stranger Things is an old grandma.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. She's like, I remember those days in my 50s. Yeah, it's I don't know why they do the trailers like they do now, but I don't know. I would like it if they were all teaser trailers again.
Yes,
so just little.
That's all the trailer
snippets.
should be. It's all the trailer should be.
Or the Stranger Things one was really good, and there was like some scariness to it, and yeah. But then again, it comes out in 7 months. I guarantee there'll be 5 more trailers out for then, dude. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you about it.
No, I can tell you Dragon Ball Super, they have the new Broly movie coming out, and they released 4 or 5 different trailers, just like what you're saying Stranger Things potentially could do. And before you knew it, somebody had taken shot for shot of all the trailers and made them basically a string for the entire movie just in fast forward mode. And it's like, I stopped watching it a minute in. I'm like, I can't.
Well, shame on you for watching it, but I do the same thing. I ruin it for myself every time.
Yeah, shame on you.
Every time I ruin it for myself. But we literally I watched Mary Poppins with the in-laws when they were here before Christmas. And
the new one or the old one?
The new one. And there was a movie that played a trailer, and it was called Alpha. And if you don't know that, it's like and again, it was only a trailer, so they didn't explain a lot, but it looked like some sort of Eskimo or ancient like Indian kid, and he found a wolf, and the wolf was mad, and then they became friends, and then something happened, and then he saved the boy, the wolf did, and then the wolf got hurt, and the boy had to save him, and then they were best friends forever, and then inevitably the wolf was old, and you could just assume what happened. End of trailer and movie. I turned to Jenny and I was like, hey, great, glad I don't take you to that tearjerker now, because you showed everything in the trailer.
Yes.
And that's fine, because I don't want to go to that stupid movie, because I don't want to watch you cry for 3 hours. So.
Well, remember when they used to show, remember when you go to a movie as a kid and you find, they fell in love. Now they just show them kissing in the trailer. It's like, well, they're going to fall in love. I
don't know if they used to be any better. This summer, a girl meets a boy. And like, that's what it used to be. Remember? Like, it's that.
Yeah, you didn't know if they were going to kiss or not.
You did. By the time a girl came into the picture, you knew it was going to be. But all right. Hey, go ahead, Los.
I was gonna say, I still like. I actually, to this day, every couple of weeks, I probably go back on YouTube and I look at it. The movie Tropic Thunder. How they had all those fake movies in the beginning.
Yes,
those are awesome.
I love the Jack Black one because it's like the giant, like it's like the fart
clump.
family or something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
It's like the Nutty Professor or whatever it is.
Yeah, but it's all Jack Black. I seriously
Yeah.
go back every once in a while. Like this is probably like once every like 2 months. I'll go back and just watch just that trailer because it cracks me up so bad.
It is good. It is good. I like Booty Sweat more out of that. Booty Sweat, baby.
It's fantastic.
All right, Booty Sweat aside. Go
So
ahead.
before we move forward, though, any thoughts on Bandersnatch?
Okay, yeah. Well, so
Because we haven't gone over it yet, and I saw it yesterday, and it's awesome.
Okay, so I've watched about 15 minutes of it, and I'm sure that my experience watching it was just like yours. So before you explained it, and again, I'm only 15 minutes in, but I watched it, and Lost Man, if you're not familiar with what it is, imagine it's 1995 again, and you've got a Goosebumps Choose Your Own Adventure book in your hand. Except this time, if you want to go backwards to prevent yourself from killing yourself, all you have to do is push rewind on the remote control, because this movie, it's 2 hours long, and it asks you to make a decision. It says, like, he'll be there and saying, oh, well, you should turn in Greg for stealing the pencils. Do you turn him in? Yes or no? And like the protagonist is being asked a question, and there's a timer that starts, and then all of a sudden it goes down. And if you don't hit yes or no, I don't know what happens, except that I hit, yes or no, and then instead of it moving to a new chapter, the story just keeps playing. It's really unique, but it creates like a play your own adventure. So Ryan, what I'm saying in my example is, on the second go around, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna outsmart this thing. I'm gonna let the timer run out, and I think it just chose one. And then the next one, I was like, I'm gonna choose the wrong one, and then it kept going. So like, I don't know what's going on with this movie, but apparently there's like a couple, like several different endings to it based off of your dialogue. And in writing the story, they literally wrote a generic dialogue that could go whichever way your story cuts. So like there's 8 different ways the story can go to reach the end. It's just an incredible piece of like filmmaking. But I wish you guys, we should probably talk about this when you guys have seen it. Yeah, we'll talk about it next time. But yeah,
I think it'd be a great thing for you both to watch and figure out, the ins and outs. It's almost okay. It's almost like a Donnie Darko type element to it.
All Black Mirror stuff is, right? It's kind of dark. It's kind of gritty.
Right. But this is more. I don't want to give too much away because I saw it yesterday, and I was, Madison was awake and Ashley was on the couch, and I was like, all right, you guys, tell me what you want to pick, and we'll pick it. And then you find out, okay, like the first option is, do you want Frosted Flakes or regular flakes or something like that? Yeah. So you pick that, and it's seamless. It doesn't. It's like the story doesn't even. Yeah, it's totally seamless. So the story goes in that direction where he picks the main character picks what you have chosen, and you literally start getting so involved with this character and with this storyline that you start thinking about. Okay, you're really intrigued, but you start thinking about, if I was this character, what would I do? And based on what I feel I know behind the scenes, maybe I would react the way that I want to pick. So then you start to pick your choices on what you feel deep down inside you would do if you were that character. Then you find out how that unfolds, and without giving too much away, it doesn't negate everything that you pick, but it then rewinds it back to a different starting point, and you kind of jump back and try to do it again, if that makes sense. Yeah. And again,
have you tried to watch it again since? I mean, I know it was just yesterday, but have you watched it again and like done different things?
Well, first off, now I can't even remember what choices I've made. But it's like being drunk. It really is. But that's where you almost, I do want to go back and watch it. Maybe I'll do it again tonight because it's still early enough. It's 9 o'clock. It was you get so immersed, and then you start making decisions based on things that you wouldn't normally do. So then I started thinking to myself, and this is where the game, if you will, the movie came to me. I was so immersed with the character that I actually chose to do something that I would never have chosen to do, even if I was in that situation. And I don't want to say what that is because I don't want to give too much away.
Kiss a girl.
No, that I would have done without even having to click a mouse. I just on that regardless. But no, like I started making choices based on what I thought the character was supposed to do, and then I started questioning my own morals at that point. Like, it's very immersive.
Yeah. Ryan, I'd suggest that you play a Mass Effect game because you will get very much the same sensation over those games. If you've never played them, you have a you have a PS4. It's
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect is all about, and I don't mean to detach this from the Mirror. I think the Black Mirror, that movie sounds incredible. We can keep talking about it, but yeah, like the Mass Effect 3, which the ending is kind of shit, but the whole story of it is real good. And those games are notorious for like every decision that you cast has an output, and that output you have to suffer for, right? Whatever it may be, good or bad. Fable was in one before that for the PS3. That was really good. There's Fable 1 and Fable 2, which were great. And The Witcher 3, which we're not even talking about tonight because I don't want to get into it because I'll talk for 3 hours. But The Witcher 3 also has a very compelling story when it comes to character manipulation through the decision tree. So there's a lot of games out there, which it's fascinating to hear you talk about how much you enjoy that. I think that if you played a game like that over, say, like an Uncharted game or something, you would find a lot more enjoyment of it. So whenever so maybe for a birthday present, you're going to get The Witcher 3 because it's fantastic. But it is a lot. It's a awesome. It's a lot to ingest. Mass Effect 3 is a lot easier.
If it's like that, like I said, I've never experienced anything so embracive where you felt part of the movie.
Yeah.
But then also felt the effect of failing.
Yeah,
it's like the effect of failing.
And again, just to make the comparison, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there's other games that do it. Just the ones that have done it really well that I've played, like Skyrim does it, but it doesn't do it to the point that Mass Effect does it. Where like you start a relationship with somebody on your squad, people die on your squad, and you've had 40 hours, 50, 60, 75 hours with these characters in a game, and you'll make one decision where they're left behind, or they're crucified, or they're destroyed. Like it's that kind of stuff happens in that Mass Effect series, and there's a couple other that do it, but there's a couple of those Mass Effect games that do it very, very well. So just check that out. Offer your opinion from this, but I'm excited to see Bandersnatch and finish it out.
Highly recommend.
Cool.
I actually think moving forward, and Donnie, I have an idea that I wouldn't mind talking off air with you on. I think this is a whole new wave of the future of watching movies, whether it be online or in general.
It's really hard to do it as well as they did it with they have a couple hundred. I would assume they've got a substantial budget. I don't know what it is, but that's difficult to do, especially as seamless as that was.
Who knows? I mean,
I know because Netflix. Black Mirror makes a lot of money for Netflix, and they are paying out the nose for whatever they want to produce. I'm sure.
I just wish I could discuss the overall ending and get y'all's impression on that, because man, there's just so many layers to the ending and the storyline and all the options you have. It's just crazy. But I think more movies would be engaging. Like maybe not now, but if they could have done this prior to the release or even thought about this concept, how interesting would it have been to make different choices within Avengers? We don't know how the rest of the story is going to play out, but in Avengers Infinity War, like how cool would this concept have been?
Yeah. Ryan, one day movies are going to be released like for VR headsets so that each person in a movie theater is watching the independent movie with a controller. I'm like, at that point, that's when it happens. You're not okay. He's giving me the double wave off. Well, I'll spend any final closing thoughts on this one before we move on past Bandersnatch.
Yes. So a very similar game that I think is really right up Ryan's alley here is called Until Dawn. And I've not personally played it, but I've watched a lot of gameplay of it. And Ryan, let me put it this way to kind of tempt you a little bit on this. It is a horror game where 8 friends go up to a isolated cabin in the middle of a mountain. And they make decisions, and you as the player, you make these decisions. It's like, you look through the telescope or don't look through the telescope, and you kind of play, but at the same time, you're really just making the decisions. And it is a horror. There's a lot of jump scares. There's a lot of you make one decision, like check the door on the left or the door on the right. The door on the left, breaks down and there's like a bear or something. Just like stuff like that happen.
Yeah.
Like fall down a mine shaft. It's like there's a lot of people dying. There's a lot of people.
Yeah. And then another one that I know, I think it's The Last of Us is another good adventure telling story where it's like that. And then any of the Telltale games, you have an iPad, don't you, Ryan?
Yes.
You have to think about it. You don't have an iPad.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, we have tablets and we have all the fun stuff.
Okay, so tablet. Tablet.
Okay. Oh, okay.
iPad is generic for tablet at this point. But there's a games company called Telltale Games. Have you heard of them?
I believe so.
They do. So they have like the license to Avengers and Walking Dead and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing, but it's an iPad, nice, friendly, pick up, put down kind of thing where all you do is make decisions, and the decisions you make guide your character through the story. And on those iPad things, they're like, I think they're like $5 for like a chapter. And a chapter is going to be like 10 hours of playtime. And so what I'm saying is you could pick it up and play with the girls or whatever. And it's like, hey, do you want to go there to there? Oh, there's a dog. And maybe not with the girls for Walking Dead, because it's like, hey, there's a dog chained up to the fence, and you unchain the dog, and then all of a sudden the dog attacks you and almost kills you. So like there's things like that you make a decision of, but it can impact the game. And like, hey, there's a bathroom on the left or there's a cabin on the right, where do you want to go? And so you walk down this way, and here there's a zombie, and here there's a guy that needs help. So that kind of stuff, that it's called Telltale Games, and I don't even think they're still making those games, but they are still available to purchase, I believe. But they are cheap, and they're a lot of that fun choose your own adventure type stuff, which if you really love this, then I would suggest check out.
Yeah, I could imagine it's tough to continuously be a genius on all the different paths and avenues one could take to finish the story. But
you say genius, but the Telltale Games, no matter what you choose, you basically end up the same place. So that's what I've heard, at least. I've played a few minutes of all of them because some of them are free. You can get a demo of them. So I've played some, but some are better than others. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there. If you want to explore that kind of stuff, or anybody out there listening that loves that kind of Bandersnatch content.
Well, then I'll leave you with this Bandersnatch cliffhanger. It all ends where it begins.
Well, and there's like 9 different endings or a bunch of different endings or something like that. So
I don't know. I don't know.
That's why I want to watch it again. I want to watch it like 4 or 5 times.
You can't say that I want to watch it again when you've only seen 15 minutes of it, Donnie.
That's true. Well, I'm gonna watch it tonight.
I'm going to continue watching it. Please get fully immersed into it, because the decisions you make may not be the right, but then they also might be the right, but then be the wrong.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy. So, do we have any time left to talk about Bird Box, or are we good? I mean,
we can talk about it real quick, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Lossman, did you get a chance to watch Bird Box?
I did, actually.
Good man.
I was gonna totally lie to you and make it sound like it was the Birdcage 2, but go ahead.
No, but I did tell one of my coworkers that it was actually pronounced Turd Box.
You should have told one of your coworkers that it was pronounced the Birdcage, and see what they thought about it.
Have you seen the Birdcage?
Who hasn't seen the Birdcage?
The Birdcage is amazing, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't go amazing, but it was cool for the times. I do appreciate it in that respect. Anyways, Sandra Bullock is the worst mom.
That was
very
a movie.
mean.
Yes, that was a movie. Robin Williams. Saw it once. Sorry.
Boy, you have your puppy.
Reference.
Girl, you have your kitty. If you don't shut up and ride down this river, I will hurt you.
Yes. Yes.
It's funny because as the first time I watched that scene, and I watched the whole movie, and then I watched that scene with my in-laws. And as the scene's unfolding, I'm like, I wonder what you're thinking. And all of a sudden you see that Sandra Bullock is just screaming at these 2 little kids. And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. just for the fear factor, like you thought she was talking about adults or somebody else. And she's like talking to these 2 toddlers. It's crazy.
That was like one of the opening scenes, right?
Yeah.
I think there was some people that were like, she shouldn't be talking to kids like that. I'm sorry. If you're in a life or death situation, you could talk to your kids however you need to get them to survive and to trust you in that situation. So shut up.
So first off, it's on Netflix again. Just watch this is a Netflix promo apparently, but just watch the show or watch the movie. It's about 2 hours long. I think it's only an hour and a half really, but it's good. It's one of those. There's a something out there, and it's affecting the mass population, and you've got to run and hide, or else it's going to get you too. But then people don't know, and they're stupid and whatever. And so eventually, there's a journey to get to some place that you don't know where she's supposed to go. But it's Sandra Bullock, and she's guarding these children through this journey, and it kind of flashbacks, current state, then what got them there, then before that, then what happened before that, then why they're there, then where they're going. So there's a lot of like back and forth stuff, but
it's not just 2 hours of Sandra Bullock, 2 kids floating down a river.
Sandra Bullock screaming at 2 children. No, but that'd be funny if it was. We didn't even mention the river before, but Lossman, give me your elevator pitch. What do you think about this without spoiling anything again? Just because it did just come out, but if you've been on social media, you've obviously seen somebody ranting or disgracing or whatever Bird Box. So give me your quick hits on it, Lossman, and then Ryan, and then I'll contribute, and we'll cut this thing out.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it because it has my favorite part of every like zombie movie.
Yelling at children.
Well, no, not screaming at children.
Every
My
part of
favorite
yelling at
part of
children.
every zombie movie is when it all starts. Like, I don't really care. Like, once it gets going, then I'm like, whatever. Like, I know how this goes. But, like, it shows us the beginning of how something crazy like that started. And that's why I watch those movies. So it did a good job of that.
I don't want to cut you off, but I like that part of it. But,
No.
don't you feel like you were left not fulfilled by the end of it?
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say
that's
it's the why, but it's like I like that. I like that part too, where they're just in an airport bar, and in the background there's a TV, and it's like, whoa, emergency in Europe, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden, like 3 hours in movie, boom, something's happened. Like I like that part too, because it kind of shows the early, to your point, the early phases of what's happening. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great. But something for me just didn't click by the end of the movie. So
yeah.
But go on. I'm sorry. Again, you were in the middle of your story.
No, that was it. I agree. I was rather anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I thought the end of the story was great. They found themselves in a situation that, well, I guess like what Donnie said, without giving too much away, they just found themselves in a situation that well, shit, I can't say what I want to say without giving anything away.
I know. What you're saying is you were satisfied with a level of journey that was explored there, and I just, there is some crazy crap that happens at the end, and there's some crazy crap that happens in the middle, and I think it's pretty suspenseful. What it really reminded me of was Quiet Place. If you guys haven't seen that one,
Didn't see that one. Seen it.
So Jim from The Office.
Yes,
he's in that as like the protagonist for him and his wife, and basically it's the same movie. So just, you may have seen in the trailer, if you look at something in Bird Box, you turn into a crazy person sometimes you don't, whatever, I don't know. But in Quiet Place, if you make a noise, the monsters can hear you and they can get you. So like in Bird Box, nobody can, you can't really look, but in the Quiet Place, you can't make a noise. So it's kind of a very similar premise around the movie. I'm just waiting until they make the movie where you can't make a smell. And then I think we'll have the senses kind of rounded out. So
it was a different twist to the post-apocalyptic.
It was,
and
it wasn't.
I guess was it demons? Was it? I mean, we don't want.
You'll have to watch to see what they explain.
What it was. I mean, there was some explanation, but they didn't really say what everything was.
You'll have to watch to see what they say. We're not going to spoil it, so we're not going to do. Maybe
you can bleep out the word.
Thank you, Ryan. We'll try to do that. Anyways,
long bleep.
I thought it was it was a good show. I do like Sandra Bullock. She is still maintaining. Good for her.
Somebody put together a collage of all of her films that have been successful, and all of them end up with her at some point like holding like her hands out like this. Yeah. So this
and
one, of course, she's rowing the paddle. Then there's another scene where she's in outer space floating around like this, and then she's got her hands like on the steering wheel of the bus, and it's just like it's her number one stage position is holding her hands out like this.
I don't know.
I thought it was funny,
and I don't like love
it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, dude, put it in the Facebook group. You guys can follow us there, and you can also ask Ryan all of his Bandersnatch Black Mirror questions in our Facebook group, Craft Brews Geek News on Facebook. I don't particularly love Sandra Bullock for any reason, but I did think it was a pretty unique role, and I really enjoyed the movie. So I thought it was good. I watched it again with the in-laws. They were like, "I don't get it. This is a terrible movie." But then we also watched. They didn't get it, but we also watched Venom the next day, which they liked more for some reason. So. It
was more action packed, probably. Maybe
it was just as weird for them, but he's like, that was the weirdest Marvel movie I've ever seen. But that's for another day, my friends. Anything else to close us out here, Mr. Rye Guy?
No, man, I'm good. I'm actually satisfied.
Mr. Lausman?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man.
All right. Well, boys, as we always do when we wrap these things up, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there, and please don't hesitate to reach out again and talk to Ryan about his Bandersnatch comments and his thoughts and opinions. I should have them by tomorrow, hopefully. Mr. Lausman, I'm sure you'll watch it eventually too. Check it out. It is a good film. Do join us on the Facebook group Craft Brews and Geek News. We had another couple people over the holiday break, and again, it was a break because I think we were off for about 2 weeks, but just about everybody else was too. So join the group, except for Lausman. Join the group. Give us some feedback. Let us talk to you about what we talk about here on the show and what's going on there before. And boys, where can the good kids find you, Mr. Lausman?
I can be found on Twitter at Mr. Lausman.
Anywhere else?
Lakeland. Come
All
on
right. Come on out. Why don't you give us your home address right now?
Or no.
And Mr. Rye Guy, home address,
Yeah,
please.
on Facebook for the Craft Brews and Geek News Facebook page, as well as Instagram at BroodBoy13 and Twitter, same handle.
Fantastic. You can find our YouTube channel that these videos are posted on a little bit later than normal, or a little bit later, I guess, than the actual podcast feed. So if you want to hear the most up-to-date stuff, please do continue to follow us on your favorite RSS feed provider, iTunes, Google, podcasts, whatever it may be. You can find me at the Brewmasters Club on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, Craft Brews and Geek News. You can find us there. And as we say at the end of every episode, Mr. Lousman.
When you see the train a-going, keep the grains a-flowing.
Okay.
Okay.
I like that one.
That's not...
You were covering for the train. Got it. Speaking of trains, we didn't even talk about Red Dead Redemption, my man. But I know you haven't had a lot of time, so we'll get into that later. Good night, everybody.
I was just thinking of one.
Okay, go ahead, Ryan. Not good night. Hold on.
Every bird has its box. No, maybe.
I don't know, but back on the bird box thing, those birds are the star of the show, really, because they were the ones that I thought they were gone several times before.
I just think there's such a great just total tie-in with everything. It just really resonates with me. I think most people are not getting it, but that's just me.
All right, and we already said goodbye, so goodbye again, everyone.
See ya.
We love you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!